Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to cook a classic spaghetti bolognese, except what we're going to do this time is we're going to put a different ingredient into it that is not beef mince. As you know, that I've recently switched over to a plant-based diet, and I am looking for traditional dishes that I usually would make and substitute them out for vegan friendly alternatives. So today we're going to use this product. This product is called textured vegetable protein, and what this is essentially, it's just TVP for short. And what TVP allows you to do is to substitute mince, and essentially it's just a dehydrated version of soy meal. It's 98% soy meal that comes off the machines when they produce soy products. So we're going to use this, and this expands and represents the texture of what beef mince actually gives you. So I'm looking forward to using this textured vegetable protein today as we make our spaghetti bolognese. Now, traditionally, spaghetti bolognese made with a TVP alternative, you need to rehydrate the TVP itself. And that's pretty easy to do. What you do is you measure out the amount of TVP you're going to use, and you rehydrate it in a stock, like a vegetable stock, a nice warm vegetable stock, and that then soaks up the liquid and expands the TVP, so then you can use it in your spaghetti bolognese. Except today, we're actually going to be using this little fella, which is our pressure cooker. Now, this is a Russell Hobbs pressure cooker that I just picked up at Big W here in Australia, and it's very similar to what they use in America, which is called the Instant Pot. And the recipes that you use in the Instant Pot you can use in Australia just by using a pressure cooker. Now, pressure cookers have had a bad name over the last few years, especially coming out of the 70s and the 80s, because pressure cookers sometimes would explode on a stove because people had the pressure too high and they wouldn't release the valve. But these days, these are all electric, and the valves themselves have safety mechanisms into them. You can't open the lid unless it's actually depressurized. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this pressure cooker to cook up our TVP and our other ingredients, and we don't need to then rehydrate because the pressure in the pressure cooker will rehydrate the TVP as it cooks along. So all I'm going to do is just open up my pressure cooker here, and I've got an onion, and I'm just going to dice up an onion just briefly. I just dice my onions down from the top here, almost all the way through, and then I come in from the side, just like this, almost all the way through, and then all I do is just go across the other way, and that gives me a perfect diced onion most of the time. And then you just do the last little bits here. And that also prevents you from having tears, apparently. So, anyway, so I'm just going to dice through this onion here. I'm not a master chef, but I have a go. And then all you do, once you've got your roughly diced onion, is you turn your pressure cooker on, and there's a little setting on the front of the pressure cooker, which is down here, which is called saute. So all I'm going to do is just turn it to the saute mode, and that will then enable the pressure cooker to come and turn on itself. I don't cook in oil, so by sauteing my vegetables in this pressure cooker itself is enough to actually start the softening of the onion. But the good thing about the pressure cooker is because it's under pressure, it will actually soften up the onions anyway. So you have translucent onions in your spaghetti bolognese. So I'm going to let that start to saute now, and I'm going to just chop up a zucchini. Nice fresh zucchini. Just top and tail it, chop it in half, come down the middle, just like that. And I'm just going to make that into quarters. And then I'm just going to chop my zucchini up. quarter that as well. So in the meantime, the pressure cooker is going into saute mode. I've got a carrot here I'm also going to put into our spaghetti bolognese. Okay, so the carrot's ready to go in as well. So essentially at this stage, it's just slowly heating up the bottom of the pressure cooker itself, and the sauteing will happen just quietly as well. So in the meantime, I'm going to just go over some of the ingredients that I'll be using in this. I've got some mince just in a jar. I've also got my crushed tomatoes as well as some spices. I've just got some oregano and some thyme to go along with it. I also have a thing of water that I'll be using the water a little bit later, and I'll show you how that uses in the pressure cooker itself. Now the pressure cooker themselves, you don't need to overly put too much liquid in a pressure cooker, because the pressure inside it helps it build up, and that releases a lot of the moisture inside the pressure cooker. So a lot of people, they go to too much trouble of putting too much liquid into a pressure cooker, and it comes out really runny. So the sauces don't thicken up and all those sorts of things. So the key is not to use a lot of liquid in a pressure cooker. So at this stage, I'm just going to add in 2 big teaspoons of garlic, just out of a jar. I'm not fancy. I'm happy just to use minced garlic. And let me just put the overhead camera on, and you'll see that the sauteing is now happening. And that's nicely just starting to release some moisture into the bottom of the pressure cooker pan itself, or into the bowl. And that's enough just for the onions just to start to break down for the translucency. At this stage, I'm just going to add in the zucchini, and I'm going to add in my carrot as well. Give that a nice mix through. Okay, so now the TVP. This is the star of the show, the textured vegetable protein. So what we're going to do with this guy is I'm just going to measure out a cup of TVP. Now a cup of TVP will make the equivalent of about half a kilo of mince. So a cup, what's that, 250 mils or so. So it's actually more than it goes a lot further than you think it will. It does a lot more than you think it does. And it's quite cheap. I think I paid $6 or $5 or something for this entire bag of TVP. And I'm able to get a bunch of recipes out of this. I've used TVP before for the spaghetti bolognese, of course, but I've also used TVP to make things like meatloaf with an egg replacer for binding. There's a whole bunch of things we've made. We've made tacos with our TVP before. So this here is just pretty much just 250 mils of dried up TVP. Now I'll just show you here on this camera here. So that's all it is. It's just a cup of TVP, and essentially all you do now is you just pop it directly into the pressure cooker and just give it a general mix and a stir. Now this is where it looks like there's like no liquid in here at all. And remember, the TVP will actually suck up a lot of that liquid. So I'm going to add in a can of tomatoes, diced tomatoes. And now I'm just going to give it a stir through. And now that looks like it's getting a little bit more liquid in there, but we still need to add a little bit of water in there because the TVP will suck up a heck of a lot of that water. So not a lot of water. You just want to almost cover the entire dish in here, the ingredients. So the key to, as I said before, the key to a pressure cooker is not to overfill it with water. So let's put some spices in. I'm going to put some oregano in here, or little oregano if you're Australian, and some thyme. So essentially it's just a spaghetti bolognese. And you can chop these up really finely, these veggies. You can stick mushrooms in there, you can hide it from the kids, you can do all those fancy things, but I love my vegetables. And I'm just cooking it up for us anyway. There's no kids for us to worry about. So now, as you can see, it's pretty much almost all covered, but a little bit more water is probably all it needs in here. And you can see it's still sauteing. So now what we do is we come around to the front of the machine here and we just cancel the saute, and that just takes the heat off of it. So that there is our TVP ready to be cooked. So obviously the carrots are raw, the zucchinis aren't cooked, the onions are still quite crunchy. So we need to cook it. And to do that, we then need to put it in under pressure. So with the pressure cooker, you just put the lid on it and lock it. You need to make sure that your steam valve is in the locked position. That's released, that's also released. So if it's in the middle, it's in a locked position. And all I'm going to do now is I'm going to put it onto manual, and I'm going to cook it in the pressure cooker for 15 minutes. 15 minutes is all it takes in a pressure cooker. Now that's not a true 15 minutes. What it needs to do is it needs to seal. It needs to bring the pressure cooker to temperature, and then it needs to lock and make sure that the pressure is all in there. Once it's hit that pressure and it's gotten to the point where it's heated up, then it starts the 15-minute countdown. So on the front of here, you'll see it says heat at the moment. So it's actually warming up. It's pressurizing the pressure cooker itself. And once it hits that magical pressure that it needs, then it will do the 15-minute countdown. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just leave it do its thing, and I'll be back in about 15 or 20 minutes when this is completely done, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. Okay, so we're back. The pressure cooker has got like a minute to go, so it's got its final countdown happening as we speak. And once that's done, what you need to do is you need to release that pressure on the pressure cooker. Now, to release the pressure on a pressure cooker, you need to just move the release valve to allow the steam to come out, and that takes a few minutes for the steam to come out. And there's a special pin at the back of the pressure cooker itself that prevents you from unlocking a pressure cooker until that steam has been released. And I'll give you a demonstration on how that's done in a moment. So this is the pin that I'm talking about here. This is the pin at the back of the pressure cooker. Now it's actually in the raised position, and what happens once it releases the pressure, that pin will drop, and once that pin drops, then you're safe to open the pressure cooker. You cannot open that pressure cooker until that pin has dropped. It's a safety mechanism. So that pressure cooker is now done. As you can probably just hear the beeps go off, and all I'm going to do is just release the pressure. Now, to release the pressure on a pressure cooker, there's a number of ways you can do that. You can let it naturally release, and that will take about 10 minutes or so for the pressure that's built up within the pressure cooker to release itself. Or you can actually force the pressure cooker to release. And that's really easy to do. All you do is you just flick the little pressure seal to the side, and that will release all that steam that's actually built up in the cooker itself to be released. So you need to stay in clear of that steam as it escapes. And can be a bit scary the first time you do it, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the back of a plastic spoon, and I just pull it to the side, and that's releasing now. You can see it's gushing up all the pressure out of the pressure cooker. You can see the steam here to the side of me coming up. So that's now releasing the pressure cooker. And you'll notice that the pressure is releasing quite quickly, as you can hear the pressure slowing down as it goes along. Now, have a look here. You can see the pin is still up. No matter if I try to turn that lid, that will not release. It's just not going to happen. It's a special locking mechanism for safety. So you must wait until that pressure cooker drops the pin before you can then open up the pressure cooker itself. And it doesn't take long for the pressure cooker to actually release that pressure. It's almost done now. So we'll wait for it to release the pressure cooker, and then I'll open up the Instapot and I'll serve it up into my dish, and then we'll have a look at what it looks like. So here it goes, just about done. That didn't take long, and the pin's just about to drop. You get to know these things pretty well. There it goes, there it is. So the pin's now dropped, and now the pressure cooker is now safe to open up. So all you do to release the lid on a pressure cooker is just to turn it into the open position, and it just makes a beeping noise, which it's now done. So now once I lift the lid, you have to be really careful sometimes when you lift the lid on a pressure cooker to lift it away from the pressure cooker quite quickly. Don't lean over the pressure cooker so there's still steam inside it. So I just lift it up with one hand and then pull it away like this, and just drip the last bit of the liquid that's on top of the lid back into the pressure cooker, flip it over and pop it down. And there we are. So I'm just going to give this a stir through. And this is what I said about not using too much liquid. If we had to put a lot of liquid in there, when the TVP expands, it sucks up all that liquid, but there would have been too much liquid for the dish and it would have come out runny. So the key is to use less liquid than you think you need. That's the trick. So here we go, let's have a look at this. Look at that. Now this is just a base of a spaghetti bolognese sauce. Now you can serve that up with your pasta, or you can do it with rice, depending on how you like to eat your spaghetti bolognese. Some people don't even like it. You could have it with zoodles. So if you want to do extra healthy, you could have zucchini noodles, you could have carrot noodles, you could do whatever you wanted to do for your spaghetti bolognese. I've even seen people crack spaghetti into the TVP mixture, the spaghetti bolognese mixture, and cook it under pressure, and that will then cook the spaghetti as you go. So look at that, look at those rich colours here. And it's not liquidy, saucy, runny, but it's nice enough to cover any noodles and so forth. So that there is our spaghetti bolognese sauce using our textured vegetable protein. And it looks and has the same consistency, and I would argue the same flavours that you would have in a spaghetti bolognese sauce, and a healthy alternative than having beef mince with all the saturated fat. And I would wage it would probably have the same amount of protein as well, because there's a lot of protein in soy. So I hope you have a go at making this. Now if you don't have a pressure cooker, don't worry, you can still make it on the stove. As I've said, first you just rehydrate the TVP before you use it. So there we are, spaghetti bolognese made in a pressure cooker for a Sunday evening dinner. Hey, hope you have a go, and if you liked this video, please think about subscribing to the channel. I intend to put up more of these alternative lifestyle eating recipes as we go along. And yeah, it's a journey that I'm on. As you know, I'm a plant-based eater now. So if you like what you see, give it a thumbs up, subscribe and share, and all those things that you do on YouTube. Thanks for watching. Bye.